Welcome back to The Person Everyone Needs. My name is Webb Hoggard, and we are continuing our discussion on Take Heart. I've told you before that the word courage or encourage, it means to put your heart into someone else's chest. It means like when someone else is failing, when fear is overtaking them, when anxiety is coming over them, when they are down in the dumps, they have someone standing there in the midst of the trench with them saying, "You're not alone. Do not be afraid. I'll be strong for you until you make your way out." And so today, as we continue this series on Take Heart, I want to remind you, I'm not just trying to encourage you alone. I want to encourage you what the Lord said. And so there's 4 different places where Jesus said, take heart. And so the first one was the paralytic let through the roof. The second one was the lady with the issue of blood who touched his garment. He said, "Take heart, daughter, for your faith has made you well." And the third one is when the disciples are out on the Galilee and Jesus comes walking past them. We know the story. Jesus is walking on the water. This is a magnificent story. Jesus is walking on the water. He's trying to get over to the other side of the lake there before they get there, but a terrible storm is taking place that is pushing them off course. And so they see Jesus at a distance, and they think it's a ghost. They are overwhelmed in fear. And the overall belief back in that day was that if you saw a ghost, and they believe you could see ghosts even back then, they said that if you saw a ghost, that meant you were about to die. And so when they looked out, Jesus had told them, go to the other side. So they should have taken that as a word of comfort that they were going to make it to the other side. But either way, they saw this, what they thought was a ghost, and they took that to mean that they were going to die. So Jesus comes close to the boat, and he tells them, do not be afraid. So they call out, "Jesus, is that you?" And Jesus responds, "It is I. It is I. It's me. Yes, it is I. Do not be afraid." This is at its core, this is the essence of what it means to take heart. I mean, what you're saying to someone is, or this is what encouragement is. You're saying to someone, "Hey, I'm here. It is I. Don't be afraid anymore. Borrow my strength. Borrow my courage. Do not be afraid. Borrow my faith." This is what faithfulness looks like, is being here in the midst of the pain, in the midst of the fear. I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving you. It says that Peter asked the Lord, he said, "If that's you, can I step out?" Right? He just said, "It is I." He said, "Sure, step out." Peter steps out and begins to walk on the water. What an incredible miracle this moment is. Peter, who is a fallible man, he is not God. He is not filled with God. He steps out on the water and begins to walk toward Jesus. And then the scripture is so telling here. It says, and then Peter looked and saw not the waves, not the water. It says he saw the wind. Well, we all know you can't see the wind. He turned his eyes and began to look at things that weren't even real. I mean, that's what fear really is. Fear is usually the anxiety produced by worrying about things that have not yet happened. And so he looks and he sees the effect of something, and he looks at the wind and he gets freaked out. He loses his faith. He loses his attention on Jesus. He turns his head. He gets scared, and immediately he begins to sink, just like we do today. If you take your eyes off of Jesus, you will begin to sink in this world. Gravity will take its toll on you, and you will begin to sink right into the place that you can eventually die. And that's where they originated their fear, was in the fear of death. Now here's Peter about to die in the same water. He stepped out on the water in faith. He turned his attention to the wind and began to sink. Now he's about to die. And so this whole picture, Jesus is right there. He picks them up out of the water, puts them back in the boat, and then they were on the other side altogether. And that this is a very dramatic picture. We've all heard this story before, but at its essence, what Jesus is reminding them is He's not saying that the winds aren't bad. He's not saying that the waves can't take you down. He's not saying do not be afraid because there's nothing to fear. There's plenty to fear. We have an enemy. We have lots of things around us that want to take us out. There is plenty to be afraid of. Jesus is not saying don't be afraid, for there's nothing to fear. I would submit that it's not true to say that there's nothing to fear but fear itself. There are plenty of things that are coming after us that we have to be mindful of. So Jesus isn't saying to not fear because there's nothing to fear. He's saying don't fear because I'm here. A lot of times people who go through terrible circumstances, it's your presence that's going to make the difference anyway. Your words are going to fall short. There's nothing you can do to make it right. We want to do something. We want to say something. If you're not something, then you're not going to make a whole lot of difference in those moments. Just being there is a big blessing for people that you matter to, and so be somebody. Don't always be looking for something to do or something to say. Be there when they need you most. There's a separation here between what we should consider and what we should fear. Fear is kind of based in our emotions, and considering is kind of based in our thoughts. When you go through difficulty, do you take time to just consider? A lot of times in our minds, our minds can take us long distances. We can figure out, what's the worst thing that's possible. If we let our emotions in the driver's seat, a lot of times they can say the worst things are probable. That can change your whole perspective in life. If you let your thoughts lead, you can find a proper reaction. A lot of time with our emotions, it's an overreaction. If you keep our thoughts in control, it'll help control our actions. If we leave our emotions intact, it'll basically control our vision. And I say that to say, he saw the wind. He said, I see the wind. And you cannot see wind. When you allow your emotions to overwhelm you, you can see things that are not even there. So I encourage you, the next time you're going through a tough situation, when you feel like there's a calamity in front of you and there's no good news to come, take a second and consider that God is with you. Consider that he has good plans for you, that he's not just going to ever let something horrific happen to you and that he has no positive thing to plan. He always has a plan. He always has good things that will come from it. Be looking for the good. I try to encourage people to allow your thoughts can inform your emotions, which push you to do what is right. Your thoughts inform your emotions, and they push you to do what is right. If you want to know who is driving the ship or whatever, whether it's your heart, your mind, or your actions, you should always have your thoughts inform your emotions, and your emotions push right action. And that's how you can change things. And the reason you need to get those things in order is because there is going to be storms. There will be opportunity for faith. There will be miracles. There will be wind. There will be salvation. There will be worship. There will be terrible times. There will be good times. There will be mountaintops. There will be valleys low. You have got to be reminded that Jesus is with you every step of the way. And no matter what, even when it seems like the storm is going to overtake you, remind yourself, he's here. Jesus says to those disciples, it is I. Then Peter says, Lord, if it's you, call me out on the water. And he said, come on, join me. And Peter walks on the water. There are miracles that are offered to you in your life today, that if you don't step out because you don't have faith, if you don't step out to go see what is possible, you'll never see the moments that you could step out on the water. I'm just encouraging you today. I don't know what you've lost heart on. I don't know if you're fearing some great calamity. You think some big thing's about to take you down, take you under. I don't know what hangs in the balance for you. If there's a fear of death, a fear of failure that's beyond even what you can really get your mind to every day say, I want to walk forward, I'm going to head in the right direction. Whatever that thing is, whatever that fear, that anxiety that is holding you back, my encouragement to you today is be reminded, Jesus is present. Jesus is as present in the storm as he was on the shore. Jesus is as close to you in the storm as he was on the shore. If he told you to go to the other side, you're going to the other side. Keep the faith. Take heart. It is I. Do not be afraid. So if he's calling you to it, he's going to take you through it. Don't be afraid. Jesus doesn't leave you. He doesn't forsake you, not even for a moment. So believe today that whatever it is he's called you to, he's going to call you through it. He can build you up on the way. He can build you up on the other side. I know that he's with you. I know he'll never leave you nor forsake you because he promised. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Don't turn your eyes to the wind. Don't constantly be trying to calculate for how big the waves are going to get. Keep your eyes on Jesus. He's the one that can help you keep heart. Take heart. It is I. Do not be afraid. Because a person who's not afraid is a person everyone needs.